Oh, pretty nervous.
Now, my name is John. I'll be your examiner today. What's your full name?
My full name is William Van Hien.
Good. What should I call you?
Just call me Ian for short.
Okay. How do you spell that?
H-I-E-N.
Ian. Yes, Ian. Okay, Ian. Good. Now, do you have your identification?
Yeah, sure.
Good. Thank you. Good. Now, we're going to start with part one of the speaking test. These are questions mainly about you and your neighbourhood and so on. Now, where is your hometown?
So I was born and raised in Red City, which is situated in the central part of Vietnam. And to add more information to the point, it gains popularity for being the former imperial capital of Vietnam during the Ming Dynasty.
Okay. Good. Do you think it's a good place to grow up and a good place for children?
Yeah, 100% positive. I mean, deep down I thank my parents for giving birth to me in this beautiful city. And personally, I kind of have a predilection for the tranquility and stability. And this city offers me exactly what I long for. And Great City would also be an ideal place for the early development of children, and also for those in their twilight years.
Like me?
Yes.
Okay, good. You? What changes would you like to see in your hometown?
Well, regarding the city infrastructure, again, I have nothing to complain about. However, for the sake of the city development in the foreseeable future, I guess I would like the provincial authorities to try harder to alleviate the local poverty, from which many households has been suffering for many decades now. And although it's going to be a long-term and challenging mission, I do hope to see some improvement made in that particular social aspect.
Okay, good. Now, continuing in part one, I'll change the topic to birthday. What did you do on your last birthday?
Well, I'm not sure. Just reply some kind of comments of my friend on the Facebook, and then hang out with my girlfriend to a small restaurant in the neighborhood to celebrate it. Nothing so special.
How would you compare that to when you were young, celebrating your birthday?
Well, it's much more it's duller and more tedious. I always have a wave of nostalgia when recalling my childhood birthday. This memory serves me right. My parents would often throw a small party with the participation of my family members and some close friends. And we kids would be served with candy and sing along the traditional birthday song, play some board games as well. I mean, there's really this beautiful memory that will stay with me for eternity.
Whose birthday do you think is the most important one to celebrate in your country?
Well, off the top of my head, I would say our parents could be the most crucial one. I mean, it is a valuable opportunity for us to celebrate the greatness of our parents who have sacrificed many precious things in their lives for the sake of our happiness and well-being. And on those particular occasions, we can also express our gratitude to them and wish them to live healthily for many more years, to witness us succeeding and having happy ever after life with our own families, for which they always long,
Okay, good, thank you. Let's change to a new topic, puzzles. Did you do puzzles in your childhood?
Yeah, sure. I mean, as a little kid, I already had a predilection for brain teasers, and they were in fact a form of recreational activity for a kid at school. And usually, whoever got the more correct answers could be given a box of candy or chocolate as a prize. Not to brag, but I was invariably the winner.
Okay. On puzzles, do you think word puzzles or number puzzles? Which one do you like best?
I guess for starter, I detest, figures as a pretty bad calculation and stuff, so you can probably guess. I'm not one of word readers. Because personally, I kind of have a knack for literature and linguistics. Consequently, I normally don't have any problems figuring out key answers for the puzzle pertaining to words.
Okay, good. Now, do you think it's good for old people to do puzzles?
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, in reality, the elderly are highly recommended to take a play of puzzles or puzzle-like games, and taking chess as a quintessential example here. Due to the fact that blend such a game require them to think more deeply than usual, it somewhat keeps their brains active and concurrently may have the severe avoid degenerative diseases such as Alzheimer's or Parkinson's.
Okay, good. Now we're going to move to part 2. In part 2, I'm going to give you paper and pen, and I'm going to give you a topic card. Here's your topic card here. Then I'm going to give you 1 minute. If you wish to make notes, you can. So you can make notes, and then I'll allow you up to 2 minutes to speak. You can start making notes now. Okay, that's preparation time. Now you have up to 2 minutes to speak, and then I'll ask you to stop. You can start now.
So as an active user of the internet, I access different websites on a daily basis for either recreational or professional purposes. However, the only one that I bookmark on the toolbar is translatorcafe.com, which I inadvertently came to know while searching for a translation job on the internet a couple of weeks ago. And technically speaking, Translator Cafe is a forum for freelance translators and translation agency to gather around, to make business or exchange information related to linguistics in general, and in interpretation and translation in particular. And I'm currently working as a freelance translator. This particular website is a perk to me. Let me be more explicit. Because the website involves a section called Clients, looking for a language professional, featuring a lot of translation jobs available. It enables me to effortlessly approach their potential clients while looking for translation services all over the world. And also, all the information relating to payment method, job requirements, and the topics of the document needed translating is all provided in detail in advance, helping me to evaluate whether or not a job is suitable for me to accept. And another reason why I patronize this particular website is that it offers a variety of translation glossaries in varied language pairs and in numerous topics, thereby facilitating my translating process significantly. And last but definitely not least, I'm greatly impressed by the friendliness and youthfulness of the user of the website. I mean, hypothetically speaking, if you encounter any problems.
Sorry, I'll have to stop you there because that's 2 minutes. Okay, thank you. Now, I'm just going to ask you a short follow-up question. The clients that you meet on these translations you do, what country do most of them come from?
Well, most of them come from, a European country like England, But it's kind of hard to get approach to these particular clients that you don't have the credit for them to have that trust on you.
Okay, good, thank you. Now, I'm going to move to part 3, where the questions are more general. You can give your opinions and expand answers. What do people use the internet for mainly these days?
Well, nowadays people utilize the internet for various purposes. So first of all, regarding communication, people nowadays increasingly use kind of social media platforms such as Facebook and Instagram with a view to keeping in touch with their remote friends and beloved ones who are living in different parts of the world. And secondly, in the proliferation of online stores, more and more people opt for purchasing commodity via the internet. Embarking on a trip to the supermarket. And finally, in aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic, students now are more inclined to virtual learning, and they tend to utilize the internet's capacities in order to serve their educational purposes.
Okay, good. Do you think it's safe for children to use the internet unsupervised?
Unsupervised? But definitely not. I mean, children should not be allowed to use the internet without some sort of supervision from their parents. Because nowadays the flow of information on the internet tend to go without censorship, and some sorts of information relating to sex are ubiquitous and devoid of age restrictions. And as a result, given naive children for permission to get access to any of them would inadvertently damage their precious innocence and possibly lead them to become the victims of sexual abuse. And therefore, parents should enforce some kind of parental control on the browser or at the network level, which would monitor the online activity of their children, or should be at the very least be physically present when their children use the internet.
Okay. Have you heard of any real examples of children surfing the deep web, or this is an expression I sometimes hear?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about children in other countries, but here in Vietnam, you can easily caught some kind of children watching pornography on the online store, and it's really hard to control that particular concern because they're just young and curious. But the latent consequences that they have to bear in the later stage of their life are it's really hard to imagine.
Okay, good. Why do some people prefer to read the news on the internet instead of television?
Well, personally, I guess all goes down to the superior convenience of this method of catching news. Living in such a fast-paced world, hardly can people grab enough time sit in front of the TV and watch the entire TV news program. And also online newspaper and news channel on the internet outstrip any conventional media such as television regarding how fast they can make a piece of news available to the public, right? And personally, I suppose that the public have their own predilection for a particular genre of news, and they would only pay attention to the information related to that particular genre. I mean, this could be impossible and outrageous for a sport aficionado to sit still in front of the TV for a long time just to wait for the sports section, which often comes lacking the TV news programs.
What about newspapers? Is there a role for newspapers continuing into the future in delivering news?
Yeah, I think newspaper would have a role to play in the foreseeable future, especially they are particularly beneficial for the elderly who are not familiar with the functions on the internet, and they are too old to use the internet on a daily basis, which could affect their vision. So personally, newspaper was still important and crucial in the future.
Okay, good. One more question. How do you think the internet will affect our lives in the future?
I guess the influences of the internet will be increasingly greater in foreseeable future. I mean, from a personal perspective, I guess more and more people will offer social media platforms for communication in lieu of face-to-face interaction. And the internet will be highly likely to render TV obsolete, because nowadays most channels are available online now. And from an economic perspective, we will probably do more online shopping. .coms like Amazon are really successful right now, and in the future there will be probably more companies that only sell their products.
Are there any downsides to this online shopping?
Yeah, I think they have to reconcile themselves to the fact that they may be crime by the criminal online. For example, they force the customer to pay some kind of transaction first, but instead the client didn't receive the order that they expected. So, and also it's going to take a long time than conventional shopping. But I think there's still some kind of problem related to online shopping that need to be solved in the future. But all in all, online shopping will still be beneficial in some kind of aspect. And I think they just have to reconcile themselves to the fact that each one has advantages and disadvantages.
Okay, good. That's the end of your speaking test this morning. How do you feel?
It's kind of nervous right now, but I did a great job, provide acceptable responses to all the questions.
Yes, good. So today, I'm going to give you 8.5 as a bad score because your vocabulary is superb and you have many idiomatic and high-level and unusual expressions. In the grammar, I could only give you an 8.5, 8 to 8.5. A few times you left the S off words, which is it's typical of Vietnamese students. But for example, nowadays, linguistic, newspaper. So when you said, oh, newspaper, yes, newspaper will have a role. So you have to get that S on it. Newspapers will have a role in the future. Like linguistics. And nowadays, that's a common one where the student leaves the S off. Yes. But your pronunciation was excellent. What you had was natural rhythm. You had the idea of strong words and weak words, which is very unusual to get a student who knows how to stress important words that make other words weaker. That's called the natural rhythm, which you did have. You used some advanced grammar and you used varied structures, which was very good. Additional sentences or passive structures on the grammar side. You did have complex sentences, which was good. There were so many interesting vocabulary words that I couldn't keep track of them all, but it's a credit to you, the vocabulary that you used. At one stage you said, I think, not to boast. Is that what you said when you wanted to talk about that you won a lot of prizes, or do you remember that?
I mean, yeah, not to brag.
Not to brag, yeah, not to boast. That was my one. I thought that's what you said. Yeah. Okay. So just little expressions like in lieu of, that separates you from the other students who are good students. But that's why I would give you an 8.5 rather than just an 8. Okay, so there you are. So that's your band score.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much for the feedback. I think it really did that for my subsequent attempt with the IELTS examination.
Yeah, congratulations.